Hello, all you beautiful souls. Today I wanted to talk about how to let go of resistance and the reasoning behind that so that we can continuously take action towards manifesting. So, we live in a universe where we are manifesting constantly, whether that's consciously or unconsciously. And that could be built upon our belief system, which our belief system is not necessarily our own, and it could be entangled with past generations of pain and suffering. And so it may not be our fault the way that we were programmed, right? Because when our grandmother was pregnant, she had all of the eggs within her of her future of her future babies, right? So that includes myself. So whatever my grandmother went through emotionally and physically as an embryo, my mother felt and I felt. And so there's this 3 generations going back of pain and triggers and suffering that we are now transcending as a collective. And so if we are consciously manifesting, because no matter what, we're doing this anyways, right? So we might as well be conscious about it. One thing that is holding us back is our belief system and our resistance as well. It's like a 2-piece puzzle that I will dive into intuitively today. And so the first part, we talked about our belief system shapes our thoughts, which then ties into an emotional component in our body, and we take action from that state. And so if we are living in fear, what happens is our nervous system kicks in and we are constantly living in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? And when we are living in this state, what happens is when we are trying to manifest something, whatever it may be, right? It could be something super small, as if you're playing with this as what I did in the past. For example, an elastic in a change room, right? I manifested this pink elastic with those gold little metal things that used to rip out your hair with black hair caught all around it. And so when I was playing with this law of attraction, when I was working in a retail store back when I was, 19, maybe 18, I don't remember, back in the day, back in the good old days, manifested that within a day, right? If we're manifesting that, or if we're manifesting maybe finances, relationship, a new career, whatever it may be, what happens is we may be wanting something, we may be taking action towards it. However, we have this energy block. This energy block is our belief system, and us not taking conscious energy work to slowly dissolve that belief. Now, I know that's airy-fairy, so I'm trying to bring more realistic terms so that we can understand it on just a simple basis. So what I mean by there's resistance, there's a block. Let's say you have a belief that you can only make X amount of money per month because that's a maybe generational pattern, and your grandparents maybe went through the Great Depression or whatever it may be. So there's money blocks within you. Every time you take action, right? You may get up every single day, you go to work, and you might think positive thoughts and say, I can do this. But at the core, at the root, the belief system is that you don't emotionally believe that you can manifest more, that you can bring in more income. And so that is what's called resistance. That is also what I call energy block. It's the same thing, different language. And so how do we dissolve that? How do we transcend it? When we have a belief or a block, it will create dysfunction in our nervous system, we will start feeling heaviness somewhere in our body, right? Our heart might start beating faster. We might get stressed out about it. We might feel unworthy. We might get knot in our stomach, whatever it may be. So it doesn't matter what we do up here, right? If the emotions in our body is out of fear, is out of resistance, nothing's going to change. So it's the emotional state that we have to tackle. And so if we think about, for example, money, and we get this knot in our stomach, that means that our nervous system is reacting to that belief. And so this could be years upon years of our nervous system being in dysregulation, right? So this is where there are different tools that we can utilize, rather it's in the moment and also outside of that moment, in order to dissolve that resistance. So in the moment tools would be anything that calms your nervous system, anything that keeps you grounded, and anything that keeps you present in the moment. Because when we are grounded in the present moment, what happens is our nervous system ends up regulating itself. And when our nervous system is regulated, then our emotional state can flow again. That blockage of energy is like a circuit. Think of if I have a vacuum plugged in and I take the cord and I, let's say, cut it. What happens is the energy can't flow through it anymore, right? So that's the block that I'm referring to. So in order to dissolve that block, instead of trying to take the existing cord and trying to fix it and tape it and patch it, those are just surface level fixes. For example, just think positive. Just do a vision board, which those are great. I utilize those 100%. But if there's no emotional, deeper components added to it that I'll discuss here, then nothing will ever change. You're trying to put a band-aid on that cord that's already cut, that's plugged in the wall, expecting different results, expecting to get energy and the vacuum to work, and it's never going to work. You can think there and encourage the vacuum. You can be like, you've got this vacuum, we're going to tape you up. But nothing changes because it's a band-aid fix. So how do we shift that? We get a brand new cord and a brand new vacuum. Okay, hear me out. I don't know where I get these analogies. I just kind of share it and hope it makes sense afterwards. And so we get this new cord from calming our nervous system down and trying not to change the way that we feel. We need to accept that, hey, we're stressed out about money right now, or hey, I feel anxious about this. By creating a safe place in our body, we allow our body to do what it naturally does. And so we are not trying to be the healer, the fixer of that broken cord. Because you see, our body already knows what it needs to do. We overcomplicate the crap out of this, right? And I'll give you a personal example after, but we overcomplicate the crap out of it. So then what happens is that we think we need to fix and fix and fix and fix, and nothing gets solved. And so, number one, in the moment, when we feel like we are having resistance to anything, it's to create a safe place for our body, to allow ourselves to accept the feeling that's coming up, and we have no control over how long this takes. For example, I'm manifesting something right now in my life, and there's a lot of moving pieces that are up in the air, and everything is starting to fall into place, but there's still probably 15, 20 pieces that need to fall into place in a very short amount of time. And so I could feel myself last night like getting anxiety about it, right? I get a knot in my stomach. I could feel the hamster wheel starting, creating resistance, trying to fix that plug that's already broken and cut. So instead of trying to fix it and saying to myself, everything will be fine and blah, 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 even though that's not really going to help calm me down, right? That's just a temporary fix. What I decided to do is take a nap for 20 minutes, relax the body, breathe in essential oils, and be okay with feeling that way in that moment and try not to change it. I became the observer of my experience instead of letting it take myself over. I also took a step back and gave myself permission to be like, hey, like you are taking big steps and are making big changes, and it's completely normal for your nervous system to to react to this, because at the end of the day, you are breaking free from these patterns that were ingrained in you. And that's what happens when we manifest, right? And when we take the bigger leap, the bigger jump, we have to now deal with this belief system that takes time to accomplish. And so number one is helping yourself calm your nervous system in the moment. There's different tools that I utilize, for example, a nap. I also did a lot of stretching because I could feel the tension builds up in your body, whether it's in the shoulders, in your stomach, in your legs, wherever. And so I rolled myself out. I did lots of stretching. I relaxed. I went to bed early. I asked my partner, for a 5-minute massage. So there are things that I felt like I needed to take care of my nervous system as I was reacting to the belief system coming up, right? That tension in the body is a belief system coming up. And I tried not to patch it. I tried not to put it under the carpet. I was aware of it. I was doing my best to accept it, and I was calming my nervous system down and not trying to take on more than I could chew in those moments. So it's tending to your emotional wellness. It's allowing yourself to take care of yourself as you're hustling, as you're taking conscious action. And if we're always taking conscious action, but then our emotional state is out of whack, what's going to happen is we are going to get burnt out, right? And we are going to try and force things to happen. And so we make it 10 times more complicated, 10 times more difficult than it really needs to be, instead of doing the emotional work and tackling it from a root cause, from a belief cause. And so rinsing and repeating this pattern of always making sure that we take care of our nervous system when it's stressed. And sometimes we can't. Sometimes we are dealing with something and we can't just go for a nap. And so in those moments, there are other techniques like breathing that we can do. We can create presence in the body by physical touch. So wherever it is that you are, you can take off your shoes. I do that a lot. And put your feet on the ground and visualize roots growing from the bottom of your feet. If you're not a visual person, you can literally just go outside for 5 minutes and feel your feet on the grass, on the earth, and allow that feeling of presence to take you over. And at least by doing that, you are breaking free from your belief system. It's crazy how powerful these little steps can be. We don't think that there's any benefits towards being present and slowing down and being conscious. But that is really the only thing that helps us break through these beliefs, is to consciously take the time when our nervous system is out of whack to help calm our nervous system through these tools like nature, like grounding, being aware of our body, our breathing, stretching, rolling yourself out with one of the lacrosse balls, right? That's what I do when I get tension for the muscles. It helps physically release the tension, so then your nervous system calms down and now you are more chill, right? And so the second component is not judging yourself and or creating and adding more resistance to the resistance that's already there. So for example, the cord of the vacuum is cut, right? You feel this resistance happening, and instead of allowing yourself space to just be and utilize these tools, go outside, soak in the sun for a few minutes, ground yourself, breathe essential oils, whatever is your thing. Instead of doing that, we judge the situation and we compound that resistance with more resistance, and it creates more bigger, if that's even a word, creates more of a resistance, a bigger ball of resistance that we need to dissolve. So that's the second component. If we can observe if we're adding more resistance to that. And the third part is having a self-care plan and self-care routine, rituals outside of our busy day and our busy lifestyle, whether it's in the morning, maybe your time is at lunch, or in the afternoon, nighttime before bed. like combination of all of it. I can't talk today, and that's fine. Because when we do that, what happens is we're pre-paving our nervous system to build resilience in the moment. And so the more that we can take care of ourselves emotionally, the more that we can prep our nervous system, prep our emotional state, so that when we are triggered or we do have resistance in the moment, we are more conscious and able to observe that and not actually allow that to take over our body. It's almost like a moving car passing by, right? Instead of jumping in that car and allowing that resistance to take our whole day over, we allow that car to simply just drive by and understand that, hey, there's resistance there, but I choose not to go in it. That takes time. That takes multiple rinse and repeating of what I just experienced, step 1, step 2, and step 3, in order to get to that state. And so when we do that, what happens is we slowly break down that resistance. And then as we take conscious action, and the gestation period of our manifestations become less and less and less. So things become more instantaneously. And that's when you really start dancing with the universe, because now you think of something or you think of someone and they call you. You have a plan and you want to go run route, and then literally somebody else calls you and says, hey, I have an idea and want to propose something to you. And a lot of the times when we take conscious actions towards what we want, but we're open about it, and we slowly dissolve that resistance as we go, the universe will send us people, situations, and events that come to us instead of us trying to force things to happen. And that's when we know we're in true alignment and really working with the universe and allowing our resistance to slowly dissolve as we take conscious action every single day towards whatever it is that we want to manifest. And the last thing I want to leave you with is building that emotional state within your body as if it's already happened. So ask yourself, why do I want this thing to happen? How am I going to feel when this thing happens? And how can you create instances of moments of you feeling that way without even having the physical thing? And when we do that, we don't need that physical thing to happen like tomorrow. We are more patient, and we actually end up not needing that thing at the end of the day. That's just like the cherry on top. It becomes more fun. It becomes more lighthearted. But when we put all this pressure saying, I need this physical thing to happen to manifest in order to feel a certain way, we have it backwards. And we're going to create more stress, more pressure, more chaos within our nervous system, versus recreating pockets of moments of that feeling in the present moment. And then we just align with it, right? That, my love, is going to the other whole new vacuum in the plug. That's playing with the universe versus trying to fix and create that plug and that energy, trying to be that energy frequency and force things to happen and fix it, instead of actually just letting all that go, right? That's the resistance, the slowly dissolving of the resistance, and allowing yourself to really dance with the universe. And the universe will give you a whole other vacuum that you're just like, oh, look, plug it in, right? As you take conscious action though, right? Can't just be sitting somewhere and not doing anything. I believe in meditation and conscious present moments. However, if we don't take conscious action towards any of our manifestation, then we don't get those triggers, and we don't take the opportunity to grow as a human and deal with those triggers and growing pains if we're not allowing ourselves to grow and evolve. So if we are stagnant and we are playing it always safe in our life, then what happens is we're not being challenged enough in order to really tackle these deeper beliefs, because that is where the magic lies, is when you push yourself and grow at your own pace, which never stops, right? And then you discover these these deeper beliefs that are holding you back that you didn't maybe realize you had. It's like these blind spots, right? So we don't stay complacent. We always grow, we always evolve, we always manifest the next thing, but we enjoy the process, we enjoy the ride, and things become more easy, especially in times of difficulty. I know I said one more thing, but this is one more thing. I was speaking to a friend the other day, and I said, I'm going through some of the most difficult challenges in my life and manifesting even more than I've ever had before. I sometimes cry almost every day, especially with the hormones and pregnancy. I feel my belief system starting to shatter. And it's because I'm showing up consciously every single day, even if I'm tired, exhausted, sad, upset, whatever it may be. You're allowed to, feel your emotions, but I'm not holding on to the resistance. I'm allowing myself to show up imperfectly, not judge myself for it. Well, I still do, but it's taking time, right? But not judge myself as much for it. And then this creates a safe place in my body. My nervous system begins to calm down. And so the manifestations are becoming bigger and becoming, the gestation period is becoming less and less time in between, because I'm letting go of that resistance. So I don't want you to think because you're going through a very difficult time in your life, or that you're at the lowest point in your life, or that you always have to be happy and carefree and joyous in order to manifest. That's not the case. It's the resistance behind it. Because to think that you're always going to be happy is unrealistic, and it's not being human. And so to feel your emotions by not allowing them to take you over, right? Not jumping in that emotional car. You have different emotions that you're allowed to feel, and they're like cars passing by. But the moment you get into that car, you become defined by that emotion, right? So the trick is to start observing it by creating presence in the body through those tools that I shared earlier in this video. And by doing that, you create space. And so you dissolve that resistance, and you're allowed to be human in this human experience, and experience the light, the dark, the full spectrum of emotions as you let go of that resistance, so that the manifestation process becomes a smoother ride. You dance with the universe, and things show up for you as you take conscious action. Okay, thanks for listening. I hope you create yourself a magical day. And yeah, you're powerful, and you are more resilient than you give yourself credit for, but we need to make sure that we take care of ourselves along the way. Mwah. Bye.